Welcome to Action Lab Live. My name is Torlando, and I'm with Chris Watson. We are your co-hosts. Let me bring my microphone a little bit closer.
That got smooth. It was like
Yeah, let's
all of a
get
sudden we were with Delilah, like
that's
at
right.
nighttime.
The let me show you. Let me share with you my sweaty balls.
It is sweater weather at this exact moment. So
Yeah.
it's been a little cooler here, man. I want to start this off by apologizing. I know we are quite a bit late. It's all on me. I had my own little cataclysmic event trying to book travel for Christmas holidays, and it said one left. It said one left. It created
Ooh,
this
scarcity.
cataclysmic event, and I was like, one left. Like, I need that one. I need that time. I've gotta get there then, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the power of marketing and sales coming together and really creating this cataclysmic event. I'll let you kick it off, man.
Yeah. So, this podcast, this show is all about helping marketing and sales teams unite, come together, rally together, bond together. No more us versus them. It's all about trying to drive revenue and solve the problems of our customers. The topic that we are talking about, the title of the show is identifying the crisis level event. And I think that there are a lot of people who, are in this space, the marketing and sales space, and we talk about the problem, talking about the problem. Always, what is the problem? What is the problem? Build problem awareness, do this, that, right? Well, here's, you and me, we try to blow things up a little bit, right? We try to blow it up. We try to 10X it all the time. And I think that solving a problem isn't big enough because people can solve their own problems. Right? People can solve their own problems. Think about if you were to, let's say you needed a shed in your backyard. The first thing that most people do is they think to themselves, can I build this myself?
Right.
Right? Are there instructions online? Is there a YouTube? Is there something that is there some way that I can figure out how to build this shed myself? And if they're not going to build it from scratch with the raw materials, then what do? They look for some type of a kit, some type of a pre-made thing, something inexpensive and cheap that they can just assemble themselves. They don't want necessarily to hire the expensive builder to come and design a an architectural work of art to put their tools in. So people, when we're just talking about a problem, they're going to try and solve their own problems first. They're going to try to save money and not hire somebody else, some outside thing. What really causes people to change, to buy, to act now is when they are facing a crisis level event, something so big, so overwhelming that they cannot imagine, they can't even start to begin to wrap their minds around how they're going to solve this crisis, how they're going to survive. They have to seek outside help.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all been in a crisis level event in our lives, whether it be college and you're trying to get that paper done the night before, whether it be you have a newborn and you just ran out of diapers, or it's sick, whether it be, to your point, a project that you have to get done that you have tried. Maybe I always think of crisis level as like somewhere plumbing, like water's pouring out somewhere, and oh no, like, am I really going to try to do this on my own? And I think, to your point, that if you are getting the rebuttal of cost all the time, if you are offering the DIY, the do it yourself way with the ebook and with all of, hey, this is how you can build this on your own. If you are leading people to that, you better be tapping into the crisis level event, because if you're not tapping into that, the problem is your buyer feels like, I'll get to that. That's not top priority. I'm not concerned. In fact, I would even say that for our own company and Action Lab, that we've got to do a better job of making it a crisis level event. That there are
Mm-hmm.
probably some people out there thinking, oh, my sales team, my marketing team is aligned. Yeah, they talk. The two managers are talking. We're doing pretty good. Our customer acquisition costs are pretty low, and they're thinking that in their mind. And so this is even challenging us in the moment to think about,
Mm-hmm.
well, what is the crisis level event that is occurring because sales and marketing isn't as aligned, because they don't have a true definition of what a lead is, because they're not meeting regularly, because marketing's pissed off at sales for not closing, and sales is pissed off at marketing because the leads aren't good. And so
Yep.
I think the key here is to recognize is that if you don't make it a crisis level event, or, and we're going to get into it, it's made a crisis level event for you without control,
Mm-hmm.
then you are probably losing many customers to this do it yourself, or that's too expensive, or that's not a priority. We saw in COVID that this remote work tools, they became so extremely popular. I mean, you're
Mm-hmm.
talking Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Slack, and it goes on and on and on, all the different things. Green screens, probably the cost of green screens, or the amount of people buying green screens off the chain. People buying better webcams off the chain.
Mm-hmm.
People buying nice office chairs, and all of that was because of COVID and remote work, something that was uncontrollable, but was a crisis, was a crisis level event, that certain companies tapped into that, and they were able to sell way more, speak to their customer way more often in a way that they knew you've got to get all your remote employees connected. You've got to be able
Mm-hmm.
to have them connect to your customers. It's funny because I always say, I'll kick it over to you after this, is that my grandma, who's 60 plus, has a Zoom account. In fact, we celebrated
Wow.
Christmas together with all of the grandparents and everyone logging into Zoom, and we sang Christmas carols, and we read the Christmas story, and we lit candles, and we went around the room, and we talked about this and that. We did birthday parties through that. And I know people have done that in the past, but they did that out of convenience and ease. It became a
Mm-hmm.
necessity. It became a, no, you're going to have to get that Zoom. No, you're going to have to click. No, you got to create this. No, we got to communicate in these ways. And man, I don't know, like, people may not know this, but you and I have never even met.
Right.
We've never met in person. We've only been through remote. And when I think about the many partnerships and connections of people that I've networked with, I haven't met very many of them. And I think it's COVID and the pandemic ushered that being okay. The crisis level event made my brain say, well, that's okay. And then I had to consider, what tools do I need to be able to thrive in that environment. So I know what you want to talk about specifically is you want to talk about, how does marketing and sales together get on the same page of what is the story for
Mm-hmm.
this crisis level event?
That's right. That's right. So let me pull in a graphic that will kind of help us illustrate this, and maybe we'll pull in a story. Maybe we'll keep to the yeah. We're gonna scooch over here. Yeah, and then we'll keep to this idea. So here's what happens in a crisis level event. First, there's something that makes impact, and if we're going with if we're going with COVID, right, the pandemic, the first thing is that the virus gets transmitted, and it enters into the U.S. And at ground zero, there is a flurry of activity with first responders that are trying to solve the problem, right? And in that case, it was really more public officials, hospitals, that's really that's who was at ground zero. But what escalated it to a crisis level event was that it sent everybody home,
Mhm.
and work was shut down, restaurants were shut down, churches shut down, everything shut down. And now we have this need to continue to survive. We have to survive as a humanity. And so now with this crisis, oh my gosh, we got to figure out solutions, right? And that's where the call to action, companies who were paying attention to the crisis level event, it called them into action. They said, okay, if people have to work from home, what tools can we invent? How can we position our offer to the market so that we can help solve for this crisis. That's where you get Zoom. That's where you get a mask industry, right? I mean, you could buy cloth masks at the end cap of every Target and Kroger all across the country. When did that exist? Right? It's all about responding to these crisis level events. Now, here's the thing. Your offer may not be able to solve for the big global cataclysmic event. Okay, it might not be able to. We have been able to help with certain people. The last client I just signed, they are a virtual events company. They throw virtual events, and obviously virtual events became a really big thing, as a direct result of the pandemic. Live events get shut down. Now people are doing virtual events. However, you do have people coming to events. I was just at a live event last week, and oh my gosh, thank goodness, because I walked away with like 7 leads and a demo request from the CEO or the CTO of the company that ran the event. So I was like, okay, missing these events here.
Yeah.
But what was cool about it is that the event was also hybrid. So it was in person. It was able to be a little bit more intimate because of that, but then it was able to expand its reach because it went virtual. And so it's in that call to action space where companies actually have an opportunity to innovate and find a better way. I think about when I go to a restaurant today, the little things that they were trying to solve. Oh my gosh, we don't, COVID's going to be transmitted through the menus. And so we're, no more paper menus. We've got these little QR codes, and you take a picture, pull up the menu. Yeah. And now we actually have this opportunity for a better experience. Right. And in my opinion, I mean, some people might not like the QR codes, but in my opinion, some of the companies, some of those restaurants, if they're not just putting up a PDF on your phone, those are the ones that aren't doing it right. But the ones that actually make a website. The other day I was at a restaurant, and you pull up the QR code, and then all of a sudden you can order as a table, and right from your phone, and you can pay from your phone, and you can pay the whole bill if you want. And the server, barely had to come over. Like, they just did a little bit of explanation of what it was, but it was just a better experience, right? And that's where companies have the opportunity to really succeed. And for me, if marketing can stay attuned to the crisis level events that are happening in the world and impacting their customer base, and they can position and talk about their product in a way that is solving for that problem, that's going to make the job of the salesperson so much easier, because they're going to be able to associate and identify that company with the problem that they're solving, with the crisis that they're solving.
Yeah. Do you think that the more difficult part is the company understanding, or let me say this differently. Do you think that there are companies out there that don't know how to make what they solve for a crisis level event, and that's what they have to improve upon? Or do you think that the situation might be is that the product they sell, the product that they sell and the problem they solve isn't a crisis level event? So what I mean is, here's a great example. What you do at Periodic, some would say, well, I can get that through, I know it's a naughty word, but I can get that through Calendly. Like, why do I need Periodic, right? Yeah. So if it's not like, in my mind, let's say I'm a buyer, right, and I'm a CEO of a CTO of Watson Innovative Group, let's call it, and I look at the two and I'm like, well, Calendly's worked well for us. Like, we've used it, all of our people used it. It's simple, it's not that hard. And then this company Periodic comes along, and I look at it. If the marketing and the sales doesn't explain to me why having Calendly and only Calendly is a catastrophic, is a crisis level event, then in my eyes, I'm like, well, they're about the same. And is this really a priority for me? Like, if I think about all the things going on in my company, is the priority using a proper booking and calendar system? So I think talk to people through that, because I think that's where a lot of people are going to struggle, is this idea of, I want to point something out. However he answers right now, however Torlando answers right now, Torlando, however he answers right now, I want everyone to remember that whatever he says is both a marketing and sales effort combined. So I'm going to shut up, but I want you to answer how did these, because like, are we trying to create a crisis event out of something that's not, or are we just trying to identify what is the crisis?
Yeah, that's very good. So, so I would say that, us and Calendly, we are in, we're in the same space. It's hard to argue that. We are both attacking the crisis in a similar way to how Zoom is, right? Zoom came across because people are having the need to meet virtually. Well, because you are able to meet virtually, you can account for shorter meetings. You can justify shorter meetings. You can very much do many more meetings in a single day because you're not driving around and you're not having to fly out anywhere. Okay, so it's very easy to have 30-minute, stack up 30-minute meetings. I've had, I'll have 10 meetings in a day sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So that wasn't possible, but what is now happening, because there are so many meetings happening, that keeping track of them, getting the meeting easily, I mean, just like all of that kind of stuff, it's all associated. And Calendly, our company, there's some others like Chili Piper, some of the other Acuity, we're all benefiting from the crisis because people are meeting more. They're just doing it virtually. All of our products help facilitate that. But the real question that the underlying question that you have is, if you are solving for this crisis level event, how are you differentiating from the competitors, right? How do I, like, you're selling masks and I'm selling face shields.
Yeah.
Right? How do we differentiate? And the big challenge that I think that every company has, especially in tech, is that the more well known the problem is, the more players enter into the space, and when they start adding features, once one company has all the features of another, then what happens? They become commodities, and then it becomes really difficult. How we have kind of approached this is, there's this baseball player, this old-timey baseball player named Willie Keeler, and he said that the key to getting on base is to hit them where they ain't. Hit the ball where the outfielder is not.
Right.
And so we identified that that our competitors aren't doing much in the enterprise space, and they're not doing much in the white label space. And so for a very large company, a Fortune 500 company that has many locations, that might be global, they are not going to be able to use some of our competitors because they don't scale very well. And they are also going to be very nervous about security issues. And so it's incumbent upon us to have a product that will scale, that will be secure, and that isn't going to be powered by Calendly or powered by Acuity. And those bigger brands, they care about those things.
Right.
Now here's the challenge, and here's the challenge that we have, and here's the challenge that anybody else is going to have. Enterprise companies move so much slower. They're much slower to adapt to the trends and things like that. And so what's happening is that these other companies that are more consumer focused, the $10 a month app and stuff like that, they are creating this demand among consumers to the extent that the consumers are like, man, imagine a 400-person sales team, and they're like, man, I want to be able to schedule, but I'm using this, so I'm just going to use Calendly because I know that it's cheap, I know that it works. Well, the powers that be come by, and they're just like, oh shoot, you're using this outside system, and now it's a disorganized mess, and everybody's
Mm,
got a different way, and we really need to consolidate and have everybody on it. And then it's like, oh, this doesn't scale well at all. Now we're looking for another solution. So the challenge is that if you have a product that is complex or expensive, and it's going to and it's going towards enterprise, the crisis level event that you're responding to is going to be kind of delayed. You have to get that's just where what we're experiencing is that the groundswell is happening at the consumer level, and now enterprises are starting to be like, man, like, it's cool that all of these small businesses are able to use Calendly, and then they call Calendly and they're like, oh, that's not going to work for us. That's when they
mm.
call us, right? They want that experience. They know that the consumer is expecting to be able to schedule appointments online, but the tools that are out there can't handle it in the way that we do.
Yeah. I think when I hear you say all that people need to consider really three things. Number one, you need to consider, do we know what this crisis level event is that we are even speaking to? And I think for a lot of organizations, I know for a lot of organizations that they don't know. They're unaware of what that crisis level event is that they're trying to speak to.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, let's say you do know, like in your case, yeah, we know, like there's 8 companies that are all speaking to that crisis level event. Okay, you do know. Now the question is there alignment between sales and marketing as to what is the messaging and the story that you're communicating? I would tell you, you need to go and tap into your current customers and ask them the question that, hey, you were a customer either before or during this event that's going on. Tell us, does our product still meet your needs? Is it still serving you, right? I imagine that there were people out there that had certain products that were maybe, internal messaging, or maybe it was a FaceTime, or they were doing video in a different way, and they recognized, oh, this isn't meeting our need of remote workers. I know I experienced that at a company, was the way that we communicated was we talked to each other in a room. Well, that didn't work anymore when we were no longer in the same room. And so that was ineffective. And so they had to kind of shift what that was. So I think number two is you got to make sure that your customers are giving you some insight into how are they managing that event? How is it affecting them, so that your messaging is on point and that both sales knows and marketing knows what is that communication. And number three, and I think this is wildly important, is, are you projecting an event that is coming, or is it happening right now?
Right.
Because if you think about AI, you think about machine learning, you think about some of these things that the metaverse, right? These things that are off in the distance. Some people, NFTs is a great example. Some people can't understand, well, why will I want this? Why do I need this? Why would I invest in this? Well, just yesterday or the day before, I think Nike put in a whole bunch of patents for their products to be NFTs, to be able to be used in the metaverse. Well, I think that there are certain companies, to your point, that are now starting to understand, oh, this is going to be extremely big. This is going to be that crisis level event that when everybody has to go buy a VR to be able to go to a work meeting, when now we're giving customers a VR Oculus headset to take meetings with us, right? And you start thinking about what that is. That's in the future. That's not today. So I think you have to always, and this goes back to the alignment of what the Action Lab is, you have to always be evolving, because that crisis level event is changing. To your point, everyone early on was happy, just like, hey, listen, go grab a Calendly account. Now they're recognizing, oh no, this doesn't meet our needs anymore. Why? Because the crisis level event has shifted. The narrative has shifted. It's changed just a little bit, right? You have, like you said, some hybrid workers. You got Zoom fatigue. You've got people now that are like, I don't want to work from home. Can I rent an office somewhere here? People missing camaraderie, people quitting their jobs because they are remote and they want to go back in, people leaving companies because of the vaccination mandate. So we're seeing that the crisis level event evolves and it
Mhm.
changes. So I think those are the three things that I foresee as, do you know what it is? If you do know what it is, go ask your customers, make sure there's alignment. And then third, are you projecting a crisis level event that people can understand? Or are you in the present moment right now and you're just not messaging properly? And I'll
Yeah.
speak to why that this hits home for me is because when I talk about this ambiguous word of storytelling and helping people strategically tell stories to engage and impact their people, their partners, and their prospects, that word storytelling is very ambiguous for people outside of marketing. So when a leader hears that, they don't think crisis level event. When a
Mhm.
salesperson hears that, they don't hear crisis level event. So even in my own marketing, I've had to shift to take that word out and insert the crisis level event, even though I know I'm going to be using
Right.
this thing, this feature, this benefit, this storytelling thing. That's what I'm going to be using to teach them to overcome the crisis level event. And that's just been a shift in the last, I don't know, 4 months for me, where I have gained more customers because we're talking now about strategic communication. We're talking
Mhm.
now about blowing up silos and building bridges to islands because your remote people feel lost.
You're
Well,
right.
Chris, how are you going to do all those things? Yeah, that's crisis level. How are
Right.
you going to do those, Chris? We're going to do that through storytelling. What? Yeah, strategic storytelling.
That's
What do you
exactly it.
mean? Yeah, let's have a conversation about it. So I think sometimes people want to project, hey, I help people do strategic storytelling. Oh, okay, that's not crisis level. That sounds cool,
Right.
but like I got to
Right.
go worry about payroll. I got to worry about my people. So
Yep.
I think everyone needs to understand that that's what the Action Lab is trying to do, is connect and align marketing and sales. And right now, marketing may be communicating the crisis level. Sales doesn't know how to continue that story, or sales is communicating that crisis level event, but marketing isn't helping them with the leads of them showing up and saying, yep, that's what we're going through. Or sales is taking 20 touches to finally communicate the crisis level, and some CTO saying, okay, fine. Yeah, let's go ahead and meet.
Yeah.
I think I get it now, but it took 20 touches.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, this what you're saying is so key here because the thing that I see so many both marketers and salespeople struggle to understand is that they are presenting their solution as the problem,
Right. Amen. Yes.
right? You could very easily do it. What's the problem? Well, people don't know how to tell stories. That's not the problem.
Right.
That's not the problem. It's
Right.
deeper than that.
Right.
We could do it over here. What's our problem? Well, big companies can't schedule things online. That's not the problem.
Right.
That's not the problem. That's not the crisis, right? It's
Right.
so much deeper than that. It's so much deeper, and until you can identify what that is, until you can speak to it, nobody will pay attention to you because
Well,
people
right.
aren't paying attention to anything that's not their problem.
And I think the metaphor is, as we're coming upon November 11th, how people in New York City at ground zero experienced the crisis, and how people like you and I that weren't there experienced the crisis was different. And it's almost as if we have to communicate it as if we're in their world. We got to communicate it as if we are at ground zero, seeing it take place and how it's affecting their business and their organization. But too often we only communicating it as a distance far away. We're only telling them the story of our product and our solution instead of actually entering in to their world and the way that they experienced it. I think too often our marketing is all about, like, it's great to be about the future, but we need to build alignment on what is the present. What is the
Hmm.
event that we're dealing with, and why would I want that future? I find too often, man, like even in my own world, that sometimes I tell the story and it makes people really excited, but they almost then come back and say, well, how are we going to get there? And I'm like, dang it, we failed on that. I made you excited about the future based upon what I offer, but I didn't do a good job of saying, I know where you're out at, and that's why you want this future.
Yeah, yeah. I think the topic of meta is really interesting, and then tying that to how what is the narrative, what is the story, what is the crisis level event, so in a story, the traditional hero's journey, any movie that you read, the hero finds himself living. Always start living in the ordinary world. That's what it's called, the ordinary world. It's mundane. it's routine, it's unfulfilling. The hero only feels like they feel like they're stuck, right? They feel like they can't
Mm.
get ahead in life. They're just stuck. Then a crisis impact happens. Something big happens, and they find themselves at ground zero, and they need to do something about it. And then along comes a guide, a mentor, somebody who has traversed this in the past, and keys them in to what's called the special world, the
Mhm.
world where everything is different, the world where they are going to start facing their problem head on, where they're going to overcome the problem. They're going to, retrieve the sword and come back home with the magic elixir that solves everything.
Yep.
Right? That is the story that we have to tell. I just started Squid Game. Have you started Squid Game? Have you
I
heard
I
about this?
I binged on Squid Game. So yes, I heard season 2 yesterday. We got a teaser that they're working on season 2.
Okay. So this is a great example, right? You've got the dad who, I'm not going to give away too many spoilers here,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you've got the dad who is in debt, and
Uh-huh.
he can't get out of it. He's living in the ordinary world. It's not great. He has this event where,
Yep. Yep.
the guys are coming to collect, and he's in full crisis. He has zero money. His money gets stolen,
Yep.
and he's going to die if he doesn't get money. And then along comes a guy that says, would you like to play a game? And he invites him into the special world. And in the special world is where he's able to compete and try to, obtain the amount of money that's going to
Yeah.
solve his problem, right?
Try to become the hero that's going to
Try to
change
become
his life.
right. This is what's happening with our buyer.
Yes.
They are living in the ordinary world, and an impact event, a crisis level event happens. They cannot ignore it. They have to do something about it. And you come along, both marketing, presenting yourself as that, and ideally propping up the sales team to be positioned as the guide that's going to
Right.
say,
Right.
do you want to play this game that's going to get you out of this jam?
Yeah.
And working with your company has to be living in the special world. And
Yep.
so if your company, if the brand can present the idea that working with your company is living in the special world, and that they are going to be able to retrieve the sword and return home with the elixir that's going to save the day, that's when your company will win. When we talk to people, we say, look, in the ordinary world, marketing and sales are out of alignment. At worst, they're enemies.
Yep.
It can't be that way. Your sales are flat.
It can't be that way, and you don't want it that way.
Yeah. You don't want it that way. You are wasting money on marketing efforts. Your salespeople they have they're wasting their time
Yep.
on on bum leads.
Yep.
Your CAC is out of control.
Yep.
Okay, and you are not making your shareholders very happy.
Yep. You're almost fighting the blame game because everyone is choosing someone else to be the scapegoat as to why we're not acquiring customers. And sales is blaming marketing and marketing is blaming sales. But if they were just in the same room with us at the Action Lab, it'd be like going to therapy. It'd be like having an arbiter. It'd be like having someone in there saying, "Look, let's talk this out together and decide what is truly a lead and when is a customer conversation ready and what is this crisis event that we're communicating and how do we see sales being the guide, and oh sales, how do you think you should be the guide, and oh marketing, how are we presenting ourselves as being the guide for the hero's journey so that when I step up I act as the guide that they were excited about when they first saw our branding."
Exactly. And then, is the product the magic elixir? Is it going to help them return to the ordinary world and be the person that they knew that they could be? The action lab for us, it's the special world. We are inviting you to take
Mhm.
place in these
Yeah.
sessions where we are going to unite and align the marketing team to overcome the beast and to to really know what you guys are doing, to be able to become the guide, to be able to achieve greater success, earn more money, save time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
All of those things.
I think what's incredible is, for people that are listening, is that the real difference of Action Lab versus probably anything you've ever heard is that you actually get control over what the elixir or the magic sword is. Like, we're providing the special world for you to go and find the elixir or the sword that we believe is alignment, but you get to have control to say, I want it to be alignment over this marketing campaign, or I want to talk more about closing in this moment, or I want to talk about the first conversation that we have, or when do we pass it, or what is it? And that's incredible. I mean, there's very few products that are out there that allow you to dictate what the elixir is, what the magic potion is. Most of the time you show up somewhere and they say it's this and it does this, and what we're saying is we're going to facilitate this place and partner with you and work alongside you to say, what do you want it to be? What do you want sales walking away with that is the magic potion elixir? Let's go. And what do you want marketing to walk away with? And what do you want them together to walk away with? And I really believe if you're doing this on a quarterly basis, it becomes habit. It becomes commonplace. It improves communication in those middle. What'll happen is naturally communication improves, because I know we're talking in 2.5 months again, right? I know we're going back. We're having another conversation, and not only that, but we're forcing ourselves to evaluate how the last campaign. And the onus is on both of us. The accountability goes up on both of us. That I want marketing to be successful, and marketing wants sales to be successful, but not in a condescending way, but more in a camaraderie, cohesive way.
That's right. That's right.
I'm gonna let you wrap it up, man.
All right, cool. So thanks everybody for tuning in. That's our show. All right, that's our show. I'm gonna let you have that last word because you nailed it. We are
Boom.
we are coming to you every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Right?
Yeah, yes, sir. I set my clock back. We're good. Yeah, we had a fall back here. Maybe I should blame it on that.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what it was. Go to join.actionlab.live to register to be on the show live, watch it live in action. You can ask questions, make comments. We had a really great comment during the show. I'm going to put that back up. It's from Jay Watson. It says, such a great point. The hero's story, the crisis actually moves them out of their complacent position, but never without the impactful wisdom and help from someone along the journey. It's a great comment. So true. You know that guy?
I might know that guy.
You might know that guy.
I didn't know he was going to be here today. We're not fishing, but that's pretty cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, great show today, Chris. Thanks for tuning on. And to everybody who is out there, join us next week on the Action Lab.